We are back, baby. We're back with you. We're back with Passepartout, and we are so grateful that you've stuck with us and have even asked when we're coming back. So, Steph, since we have had a little hiatus, what have you been doing?
I have been immersed in initiations in alchemy.
Mhm.
I wasn't aware that the opportunity would be presented, and when it was presented, I chose to immerse myself into it, and that has been what I have given all of myself to in the last several months, 8 months.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of reorganization, and Steph and I were both called simultaneously to really commit and embrace different happenings in our life, I guess we'll say. And Steph dove into the eight crystals, which I'll let you explain.
So, eight crystals of Kavesta, a process of birthing eight crystals within the physical body that release you from illusions in the distortion of the matrix.
Well said. Speaking of distortion, I've really come into a lot of different situations recently where the beings that I am communicating with and experiencing are sitting in a lot of distortion. And what I've really realized through alchemy is, and then thanks to your eight crystals, is that when someone sits in distortion, there's no truth to be had because they're not coming from neutrality, right? And so it's such a bleed on one's energy to kind of deal with someone who is highly distorted like that. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's really up in the field right now. My friend called me last night and had said the same thing. And so this just came to me now while you were speaking about distortion. But how would you recommend someone who is just in a situation where the other person, it's like kind of driving you crazy and triggering you because you can't really get through to them, and then it's just not worth it to deal?
The biggest thing is to remember that your power is your energy. So that
Hmm.
is your currency. Every time you speak, all of your thoughts, everything that you express is a form of an energy exchange. When you are presented with quote unquote another, a being in your field who is looking to draw from you energetically, you are given the opportunity to choose as to whether you're going to release your energy. Are you going to bleed your energy in that interaction? Are you going to be reactive, emotionally reactive to whatever is being baited? If you're being baited by another to enter into a dance of reactivity with them, you are actively bleeding your energy. You're bleeding your currency. So
Hmm.
if I invite people to take a moment and observe, reminding themselves that they can pause, choose not to speak at all, see what is prompted in the moment. Is it best to say nothing? Is it best to retreat? Is it best to elegantly say, I have to step away and I will address this later? And as you said earlier, if somebody is in distortion, they're not seeing clearly. So
Hmm.
to try and convince another that they're not seeing clearly when that is their reality based on the lens of perception that they're operating in, it is a waste of your own precious energy and resources to try and convince them to see as you do. Those insights come at perfect timing. You simply are to express and embody from wholeness at your level, and may you see them in neutrality as you interact with them.
You would basically run out of breath. you know?
Correct.
Yeah. It's really up right now too because of all of the intensity around the election and world happenings and climate happenings, and there's a lot of polarization. So I think that what you just offered is extremely wise, and it's something I've been practicing a lot lately. And with that, we've also been diving into different lenses and being able to see through a different lens, which is the key to alchemy. Will you explain that?
So in wholeness, to be able to see from different points of perception allows for the full expression of perfection to reveal itself before you.
Mhm.
If you are in a contracted state, meaning you are wanting to somehow judge or resist what is before you based on your experience, it is valuable to expand and choose intentionally to see from another viewpoint, another lens. It can be through the lens of a friend. You can ask for a friend to give counsel. And as soon as you begin to see it from a different lens, the occlusion in your own lens begins to dissolve. And now you've opened yourself up to an opportunity for what is being experienced to be completely shifted. So it isn't as you see it in this locked version of itself that you're resisting, but you begin to see other nuances that are being presented through the eyes of another lens. Ultimately, that other lens is also yours because you have access to infinite lenses. So you have resolved the illusion in that moment, which was an occlusion in your lens. So it's almost like taking the bugs or the smears off of your windshield. And
Mhm.
now you see clearly to the dream that is benevolent unfolding before you, as opposed to the contraction based on a story you're bringing from a past experience or preconceived notion. And then you can truly allow for things to unfold without any preconceived notions. How
Mhm.
free can we be when we can allow for everything to unfold before us without any previous stories, statistics, or preconceived belief systems or notions? You're truly taking in the moment from the mystery of newness as a child.
And that is how you switch timelines instantly, is by choosing and receiving and being able to see clearly through a different lens. It's a different perspective.
Correct.
You're forming new perspectives, which beget new realities. That is the key to alchemy.
Absolutely. So at that point, it isn't polarized, as
Right.
you talked about earlier. Because wherever there is polarity, it creates a gap of division. And wherever there is division, illusion fills the space. So when you are seeing from different lenses, you're seeing from a totality of possibilities.
Hmm.
Therefore, the gaps between the spaces dissolve.
Right. And then when there is a gap between spaces, essentially that's from you contracting, right? Like, say you have both hands in front of each other, your left hand is life, the right hand is you. When you contract away, you're creating that gap. And that's when sickness, negativity, darkness, it gets through the gap. And that's
Mhm.
how it infiltrates a person.
Correct. It fills the gap. If you're
Hmm.
focused, hyper focused on one thing being as you believe it's supposed to be, the other then is now created as a separate tension point. And
Hmm.
there you have now created separation is no longer fluid, it's static. And in between those 2 points, you have a space where illusion fills it. And now you are operating from tones of illusion that come with distorted emotions of
Hmm.
fear, pain, anger, all that is distorted. The benevolent unfolding dream of wholeness does not have those tones.
Hmm. Mind the gap.
Exactly. Mind the gap ruthlessly.
Mind the gap has a whole new meaning.
See
Exactly.
everything fluidly. And as you do, everything shifts before you.
So I think that's the biggest key that we've been working with throughout these past months is really different lenses, staying fluid, and also tyrants. So basically, with what I've been doing, I have been diversifying my portfolio and hopefully purchasing a home in Manhattan. And Manhattan is a different beast. It's a big beast and it's very hard and it's a second full-time job. Um, the whole process, I've never experienced anything like it. And I really had to embrace the difficulty. I've called Steph so many times in tears, like, I want to quit. But that would have been me contracting against the entire process. And so I really had to embrace everything that came with it, which is a lot of tyrants, a lot of dissolving lack because I was afraid that I wouldn't get the place. And, it all has to do with finances and all of these illusions of lack. And so I really had to embrace it and jump in time and time again. But the illusions and the tyrants, and what do we mean by tyrants when we say that? It's like what would you say, Steph?
The tyrants are the belief systems, the thought forms, the indoctrinations that taunt you and tell you that you are limited, that you are not enough, that this is too much work, that disturbing your peace, making you small.
Yeah,
They bring you to hell.
yeah.
Those are the tyrants. Life is hard. Life is to be enjoyed. The true aspect of life is about expressing oneself fully and in the moment as
Hmm.
a child, having a love affair with life, having a love affair with every bit of the grand opportunity that it is to live in physical form. And when you feel that tending to the details is hell, or that life is difficult, or that you're never going to get anywhere, or I haven't achieved this, whatever limited belief system presents itself, that would be a tyrant. It's providing an opportunity to step into the fullness of your truth because all of that isn't real. All of those distorted, tyrannical thoughts are designed to keep you small, but they're also providing you a great opportunity for you to enter into the vast, powerful truth that is your divine inheritance. So when you see that as an opportunity, that you're not here to fulfill any role, any destiny, to fit any statistical model, you're free to truly express authentically as you always.
Yeah, beautifully well said. I know I didn't describe the purchasing process well enough, but just so you're aware at home, it's been since May, about May, yeah, for to
It's
purchase
been grueling for you.
one place. Yes, it's very archetypal. There's been a lot of illusions and lack. I wanted to tell the story of the buck. So the other day, I was driving to the gym. It was a little bit before 8 a.m. and I saw a car in front of me. He was pulling a trailer. It was an SUV. And we go around this curve and the car swerves into the other lane. And I was like, oh my God, no, 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 no. And then I stop and I could tell that he had hit a deer. So this deer keeps going from the west to the east side of the road. He gets hit in the hip. He starts running from west to east, peels back around, and then goes between the car in front of me and my SUV. and he stops right in front of me and he starts bucking. He was like just pissed that someone hit him in the hip. He was pissed. He was bucking. He did a whole thing. He had two spikes for horns, and then he ran off from east to west. He could peel back and went the other direction. And what do deer mean? They mean peace. So he was saying, no one can fuck up my peace. No one. And then I called Steph and you were like, oh my gosh, he just gave you the best sign you could have ever been given. And by the way, I do think the deer is okay. I have a feeling that he was all right. And weirdly enough, the person that hit the deer was one of my dad's friends who I had never met, but I have heard about him over and over and over for like a decade. And then that's how I met him because I had pulled over to see if he was okay. So don't let anyone mess up your peace. Buck it
Mhm.
out and keep
Mhm.
moving. And I think that's the theme. And the peace is also with seeing through different lenses to keep your peace, to stay in neutrality, and to stay in fluidity. Because when your peace is messed up, you're in contraction. So
And then you spiral into different hells.
mhm. And it's very easy
Once,
to keep
yeah,
spiraling.
it's very, once you go there, it's very easy to really bring in an unfolding of misery.
Yes.
So if
Yeah.
you ruthlessly choose to have an awareness as to what are your thoughts, what are you thinking, and ruthlessly monitor those and choose to not be enslaved to the illusion of the tyrants, they will then release the gift of the blessing that they bring. Everything in life brings you an opportunity. And therefore, make all of those opportunities ones that are wonderful and benevolent. You're always then gaining in insight and perception, which begets power, and you're continuing to grow powerfully. And you're continuing to then support what is your mind, your body, and your spirit, allowing for your body to then be healthy if you're renewing and regenerating, creating life actively from the emotions and tones you hold in authenticity.
We call those gemstones, the bits that you're collecting of perception and power, the opportunities that life brings for you to perceive it a certain way. We call those gemstones, and we stick those gems right in our crown. You want a heavy crown in life.
100%.
And
100%.
with that, I think every episode will be about 15 minutes just to bring some clarity. And we are going to probably Rick Rubin this. Steph's words are so powerful that we feel that to stay off screen might bring more clarity and more power to you. And so that, and we might come on, we might be on screen sometimes, but for the most part, I think we'll be off
Off
screen.
screen.
Yeah. So weekly frequencies every week. And we thank you so, so much for being here.
Thank you.
And we're sending love and
I
light.
love you.
We love you.